Hi, I'm Susan and welcome to my tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I string the sugar skull with the fringe. Because we put the holes horizontally across, it's easier to string around the bead and add the fringe. And also my rhinestone pod has a double hole in it, which makes it also much easier to string. So I love these skulls so much and I feel everybody should have one. I am giving this one also away. If you comment, share, and subscribe, you could be in the winning. 4 weeks after I put this tutorial up, somebody will be the new owner. So let's get started. So I'm trying to do something a little different and use one of the sugar skulls in case you're not as ambitious as me and want to make 10 of them to go all around your neck. So of course I'm starting with my marguerite bead, which is my clasp, which is where I always start. I'm starting with a number 6 bead. I have Nymo thread and I'm using a Doris beading needle. I'm going to add my number 6 and then I'll add 5 of my number 11s. Go up through my marguerite bead, add a number 11 stopper. This is just a gold one. It doesn't matter that I'm using silver beads and gold beads. I don't mind mixing. If you do, switch it. I kind of like the contrast. But remember, this is my necklace and the one you're going to be doing is yours, so it will be your design. I'm just giving you a guideline of how I do it. So I'm adding my 5 more beads going through my number 6, and now I'm going to make a surgeon's knot. And a surgeon's knot is over, twice around, pull it tight, and then go under twice around and pull it tight, and that will lock it in. Now, some people wonder, why do I leave the thread? If I need extra thread, it's just easier to have it here than tying it on. If you want to cut it, feel free to cut it, just whatever you're comfortable with working with. Now, I want to add some black crystals because I feel like this rainbow is just too much with what's going on here. So I'm going to start with a black crystal, and I am just going to weave in and out all of these rainbow of beads, which is kind of boring to watch because I'm going to go all the way down and up to the clasp. I am only going to add this bead in. I am not going to add my skeleton until I come back the next way. So let me just add this rainbow of beads in with the black crystals, and I will come back because that's like watching paint dry. So I've made it back up to the clasp and I've added 27 seed beads, size 11, and the challenge is to make sure it goes through your marguerite sort of like a button. You don't want it to be too loose that it'll fall out, and you want it to be just that you have to give a little struggle to push it through. So now that I know the size of that, I'm going to travel back down through here to my rhinestone pod, and the rhinestone pod has 2 holes in it, so we're going to travel through this to add our skull. So I'm going to come down here and I'll see you in a second. So we're back at the rhinestone pod, and most people would think I would stop here and go down and around. No, go back through the pod, and this will keep your beads clinging to the pod. I don't want them to be hanging off the side here. Because they're coming through the side, they're going to naturally fall around. So I really haven't a clue of how many beads I need here. So I'm just going to continue to add beads until I get where I feel comfortable. Like I said, this is kind of fiddly and people think I really planned this out. I don't. You only see this because it worked. A lot of times things don't work, but that's okay. We learn from playing. So what I'm trying to do is I want to string this down. Whoops, I went too far. I want to string this down to this hole over here because there's a hole that goes down. So I need to see how many beads do I need. I actually added too many. Okay, so to get from that hole to the next hole would only be 3 beads, so I've added too much. So I'm going to take those off and go through here. Okay, so now I'm on the other side of the bead and I need to measure how many beads will I have between this hole and the other hole. Is it 3 or 4? Let's see. Could be even 5. They don't always come up even. It won't matter though. Now if you do choose to, and you want beads to go all the way around this pod, you can. So I want beads to go all the way around this pod, so rather than just going down through here, I'm going to measure how many beads would come up through this side. And so I'm going to fill that in and then go back through the bead. So let's see how many that would be. And this is how I get the beads all the way around my pod in a circle. People don't always realize I have 2 holes in there, and so I go through those holes several times. If there was only one hole, the bead first off would hang wobbly and wouldn't lay flat. And then the other thing is I wouldn't be able to put all these beads around. Probably 2 more. So there we go, that's about the right amount. So I'm going to go back through that hole, come back through, and now I'm going to go through those 3 beads that I put in first. My dogs are eating the cat food. Sorry about that. So now I'm going through those 3 beads, and I'm going to add beads that will come down. Well, you know what? We're going to add them to go all the way around this first. So let's add enough beads to go all the way around the bottom of this pod and then come back up through. So I've got the amount of beads that fit in here. Now I can either go through this bead, but I don't want to. I really want to attach all these beads so that they run kind of nice and clear. So I'm going to go through that second bunch of beads we added. And see how that just drags that through into a beautiful circle around? That's how you get that. So I'm going to go back up. I'm actually going to go through the string for the beads that are attached through here. And you'll know what I mean when you're doing this. And then I'm going to go back up through this ring of beads. And then I'm going to come back around. Now you can't suddenly flip it to this side because it won't hang right. There's an upper and a lower in this bead, and you want to make sure you are on the right side. If you're not on the lower side, your skull will hang upside down. So now we're just going to travel around this, and let's see where we're going to come off of this to add our skull. Whoops. Okay. So now I am down on the side here. And I want to add my skull. You know something? I'm going to come back down and go across here. This is going to look even crazier. Crazy's good. So the reason I'm coming across here is so that when I come down, these beads will follow the side of the skull here. So I just have to figure out now how many beads I'm going to add before I go into the side. Well, I gotta figure out where the hole is too. So if we go from the center of the skull to where is the hole, I think I need about 2 or 3 more beads. We're gonna put 3 in and we'll see. This is another trial and error type of thing, where you have to fiddle with it and see what is the correct amount, because each piece will be a little different. Okay, so there's the center, and that actually fits pretty well. Now, there's 2 ways you could do this. You could go up and around and then go back down. Well, let's do it that way. That's probably the easier, or you could come down and go back up. but we're going to go up and around just because it's the natural way this is flowing. So now we just need enough beads to bring us back into this loop over here. Now I have no idea how many this is because I can't talk and count, but we're going to fill that in, and that looks pretty darn close. So let's leave, I think there's 4 beads in the center there. And now you can see how I'm attaching that and how that's going to fall. Now I'm going to go back through these beads, and now we will go down to the next hole. Remember, we put 2 holes in this skull. So there's, if you wanted, you could just leave it attached like that, but I really want a piece of fringe here. So, and I'd like to show you how I put fringe in. Now where is the other hole? Oh, there it is. So the hole is right there. So I've got to add beads that meet that hole. And let's see if that's about the right amount. Oh, no, could probably use 3 or 4 more. Now I'm not editing this because I really want you to see the thought process and how I go about doing this. About 1 less. And how it's just a kind of trial and error thing. And that just because you see me do it on tape doesn't mean I didn't edit it. So now you can see the beads are starting to follow around the face. And now I'm going to go up through here and attach it through there. So it's the same process of just adding beads as we go. And you don't have to do this just with a skull. Any bead that you put 2 holes in allows you to do this. So you'll see me do this with a lot of other beads in the future when I get over my Day of the Dead obsession. It's only a few months and I can't help myself. I don't know if this is 1 or 2 that I need here. And like I said, this is, you can see now it's trial and error. And that's pretty close. So I will go through here again. And I will go through the beads that attach through the bottom of the pod, right there. And then go back down and around. And of course my thread just loves to give me a hard time. There we go. And I'm not working very tight because I'm trying to work on the camera, so I'm probably going to have to go back through this all and tighten it up. Because I'm working in the air and I can't really get things as tight as I like. So now I am basically going back down one more time, and we're adding the piece below, and that is going to make an area where we can add fringe. Now normally I would have this go from behind the bead and have the fringe coming down, but because I kind of like the way it frames the face and it frames the pod, I'm going to make it frame it even more around here. So there's just different options you have, and it really depends on the bead which choice you're going to make. Snoring puppies. And so we're just going to make sure that we have enough that goes around this. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to lay correctly yet. That is because we don't have any fringe, and the fringe is going to add weight. So don't worry about it flopping up right now. Everything is flopping everywhere because I'm working with it. And so I think 2 more and we should be there. And I don't mind if this piece is hanging a little loosely, because when I add the beads to the fringe, it will weight it down. And there we go. And you can see how, oops, let me just push this one back. You can see how that changes everything. So now I'm going to go down and around, and we're going to start to add the fringe. So time to add the fringe, and I'm trying to eyeball this up because I've gone around this entire piece one more time and everything's getting a little tight. So I don't have a lot of room to go back and forth, so I've got to kind of get this pretty close by eyeballing it. And I think I have enough room here, so I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to start with a number 11, a number 6, and then I have these probably about 5mm crystals that I'm going to use in my fringe. And they're the same black crystals that are up here, just a smaller size. And I'm just going to layer them, and then I have a few, whoops, let me make sure, oh no, we don't match. That's better. I have a few leaves that I'm going to put in at the ends, and then I'm just going to use one of my number 11s as a stopper bead. If you want, you can use a 15, but I don't really mind that they're bigger. Oh, that dog is really in a dead sleep. Babu! I think she had too much beer or something. Too bad she doesn't drink. It sounds like she's in a drunken stupor. Okay, so then I'm just going to go back up through here, and I don't really know how far the middle is, and I'm not worried about making this exactly perfect because our bead is not perfect. Everything's a little uneven. You just go with the flow here. And anybody that stands close enough to you to count that you have one of these beads, which is a millimeter off, they need to get out of your personal space. So we're just going to go back up through, and now I am looking towards the middle and trying to figure out which would be the best spot. I'm going to go right under that flower there. The chin kind of helps you out where you've got a flower on the chin. And this, of course, has to try to knot up into all of my other beads. Okay, so that looks pretty close to center. And that should leave us enough room with the other beads. And so we're just going to, wait a minute. These are my end beads. Everything gets messed up when I'm trying to bead here. And these are my center beads. And what I love about working with the Day of the Dead stuff is it just helps you clear out all these odd single beads that you have that you're not sure what else you'd use them in. This is one of those projects you can use all of those odd pieces in, and they just go great. I don't have to worry about everything having a matching set. So now we're just going to go back up through here, and I'm going to count how many beads are in here and put that many on that side and finish up the fringe. So then we'll move on from there. So I've finished up the fringe, and I've reinforced everything going through, and I've come up through the side here, and I'm just going to go back up through all of these beads and go back to the loop part of the clasp where we will peyote around that. So I'm back at the clasp, and I have knotted and reinforced through these flower beads that I have up, and I am going through the first bead. I added 3 size 15 seed beads, which will create this little tiny picot, and I will continue to add 3 seed beads, which are, like I said, size 15, skip a bead and go through the next bead. And I will do this all the way around to create this beautiful, see the little peak you get, little peaks, and then we will tie these together once I get to the other side. So once again, I'm just going to go through pull it, and you can see the peaks. So I'm back, and I've gone through the first set of 15s. I went up to the top of the peak, I added 3 size 15 beads, and I'm going to connect all of the little peaks with 3 size 15 beads, creating this beautiful little lacy peyote. And it will also reinforce this loop and make it easier to use the clasp because it will keep it open. So every time you see a little peak, you just connect it. And I also will start to knot this off because this is getting too tight. So we will use the thread on the other end. And I will meet you at the other end. So I finished the end with the clasp. And now I'm just finishing the other end of the toggle clasp. Now this is where we started, so I have cut the thread and added a needle so that I can go back up. These flower beads, I didn't really drill each one of them individually, so they were getting really tight, but I went through them 4 times, so that was more than enough anyway for reinforcement. So I'm just going to go back through this bead and add my number 11 seed bead. Now, really, 2 is all you need, but I like the 3rd one for design element. I just like the way it looks going through my flower. And there is my drunken puppy snoring. I'm going to say she's had a lot of beer tonight because it sounds better than her snoring. Okay. So now I'm just going to go back up and add my last bead. And then I am just going back through my size 11s, and I am going to start to knot off. And I start right here at the, oh my gosh. I'm starting at the crystal. I can't help but laugh, she's too funny. And I'm just starting to knot. And I'm just doing a half hitch knot. I'm going to go through my bead, do another half hitch until I basically run out of thread. So I just keep knotting and reinforcing, and I just go through it twice and then pull, and I think I'll do another one. And I will continue that on the way out, and that's pretty much all there is to this necklace. And you can see how we get this beautiful necklace out of just a simple straight string. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you have fun making one. So if you don't want to make a strand of these little skulls, you can just use one as a centerpiece. So thanks a lot and happy beading!